everybody. We're from Wilson County Schools in North Carolina, and I'm Donna Curry, a digital teaching and learning specialist.
And I'm Natalie Mercer, and I'm also a digital teaching and learning specialist. We are here today to celebrate our teachers who have been part of a digital learning grant provided by our state in North Carolina. The focus of this grant was personalized learning, and we chose the platform of Seesaw because during the pandemic, our district just decided to use Seesaw to help with communication and delivering online instruction to our students. Our teachers signed up. We started some wonderful PD sessions that included the fabulous Dr. Lisa Hervey from NC State. She kicked off our series of professional development on personalized learning. And we partnered with Andy Leiser from Hastings, Minnesota to provide us with different methods for using Seesaw in the different subject areas, and we personalized each of those sessions for our teachers. We focused on K2 because this was the first time our teachers were really going to have access to one-to-one devices for their students, and our K2 teachers also needed some professional development, as any of the training they'd received before, a lot of times they felt like was directed more towards upper elementary. So we hope that you find today's conference helpful and focused on K2 and things that you can use in your K2 classroom.
So our teachers, we had 53 teachers who stayed with us through the entire cohort, ranging from kindergarten, first, second grade teachers. We had instructional assistants. We had admin support. And we had our teachers who have even decided to show what they've learned, how they communicate with their parents. They have been so excited. We just want to elevate them because they have been working on the weekends. They've been working at nights. And just to see a small portion of what they've done, we hope that you'll log into some sessions that you like.
So we have our keynote speaker today, Andy Leiser, and as I mentioned earlier, he did a big, huge bulk of our professional development with our district, and we couldn't have been happier with this partnership. Andy is so knowledgeable, he is so friendly, and he just made our teachers feel right at ease, and they love tuning in each month to see what knowledge he had to impart on us. He's so knowledgeable, in fact, that I don't know if we ever had any way to kind of give back to him. So Andy, the only thing I can think of that we could teach you, this word is y'all. Andy, we're from the South. And each week he would try his best y'all. And he did pretty good. But maybe if he visualizes that word, it might help.
Yeah, sometimes if you see it, it makes it better. So enjoy our day today and enjoy our teachers. And please give us some feedback. We'd love to know where you're from. And we look forward to spending the day with you.
So without further ado, here is our keynote speaker, Andy Leiser. Yay!
So, this is a YouTube premiere keynote. Kind of feels a little like distance learning, you know, when you're hoping like all those cameras off logins are actually students listening and ready to learn. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those times you're just hoping you're not talking to yourself. Anyway, I've had the honor of kicking off a few events in the past, but this format, like most teaching and learning this past year, is a new one, but the spirit's the same. Deliver a message that resonates with you and primes the pump for an incredible day of learning with one another. My name is Andy Leiser. I am the sole elementary technology integration specialist in Hastings, Minnesota. I am an Apple Distinguished Educator and a Seesaw Certified Educator. I cut my teeth as an elementary school teacher in Northern California, Benicia Unified, where I taught for a decade before moving back to the Midwest to be closer to my family. My wife's an educator, a conservationist, and a curator at the Minnesota Zoo, and our two children are Seesaw using students. So we've experienced all facets of Seesaw from the beginning to now, and our kids are living their learning through Seesaw to varying degrees every single day. For the past 5 months, I have had the privilege to guide K2 teachers in Wilson County, North Carolina through various creative, productive, and data-driven practices using Seesaw. We focused on competence-based progression and individualized learning paths and the learner profile and flexible learning environments and how we can create opportunities for our students using Seesaw as our learning journal and hub. Today, in many respects, is a culmination of our hard work. We're showcasing our big takeaways, best practices, those tips and tricks we gleaned. Wilson County educators today are going to serve as a conduit of learning to inspire and extend their reach so that others can experience and grow as a result. It reminds me of the Seesaw learning loop that I share at the onset of all of our coaching sessions. Our teachers are taking what they have learned from their families, from their students, and delivering professional development for others to grow their capabilities, delivering impactful content using the Seesaw platform. And I know it's going to be an amazing day. Our theme for today's event is Show and Grow, and I have a few stories I'd like to share with you as we prepare for today's learning opportunities. These stories are rooted in my own journey as a learner and connect with a little self-reflection, can show the growth we've all experienced throughout our lives. So let's think about showing. A couple weeks into the summer of '99, a rigid envelope arrived in my mailbox, and inside I found a stack of pictures and a handwritten note. Now I was a little bit confused but very intrigued, so I took a quick look at the pictures and recognized the faces of my classmates, quite a few of whom I graduated with from Beaver Dam High School just a few days earlier. But the photos weren't from graduation. In fact, they were from like 12 years earlier in 1987. So I glanced at the note and I recognized the last name. Schlicker, my first grade teacher. The photos were a few moments from my time in her classroom in the late 80s. I was holding memories that she had captured all those years ago from the classroom and around school and during our field trip to the Vilas Park Zoo in Madison. I held them and I smiled because this was a remarkable moment in my life. One of those few moments that you recall vividly. There I was, standing on the side of the road by the mailbox, the mail key wrapped around my pinky. Perfect blue sky day with puffball clouds. Could smell the humid lawns and the warm roads. And I hoped that this is what Mrs. Schlicker was hoping for when a former student received her letters. And then I looked at the note and I was taken back because the letter wasn't from Mrs. Schlicker. The letter informed me that she had passed away a few months earlier, and this actually was from her husband, Fred, carrying out her annual tradition. A tradition started long before I was born and continuing now after her passing. He carried on that legacy, celebrating moments by sharing media with the people involved. A small gesture with a huge impact. That legacy she bequeathed unknowingly to me. In a way, Mrs. Schlicker was a bit ahead of her time, and although the processes are requiring a little more patience then, she was sharing the story of time together when we were too young to really understand the importance. So she waited till it could be more greatly appreciated. And it took 12 years, for that intention to come to fruition. Photos she had to capture and then mail off the film for development and maybe get them back a few weeks later, store them for over a decade, send them via post to our class. And she had to keep those addresses current. And look, I don't know how she did it, and I'm okay with not knowing because that's kind of part of the mystique. I'm just really grateful that she and her husband made the effort to continue that great work. Today, we can carry out Mrs. Schlicker's actions instantly. From the moment of capture to the reception of that shared media, our powerful connected tech tools, they make that process easy and the quality is so much better. But the core remains the same. Showcase and value relationships, capture and share memories. Sharing media is about relationships. It's about the interactions and how we build them. It's how a majority of our families communicate and share media already. So rather than waiting 12 years, we can just take care of things in the moment. Our students might not be ready, but their families are. And by contributing to their learning journal, we are helping to craft our shared legacy. You're showcasing that you value the students and families in your life right now and for posterity, because eventually your students are going to discover the archive of your time together, and they might even reach out to you to say thanks. Now, I kind of wonder what Mrs. Schlicker would think about today's technology and services like Twitter and Instagram or YouTube. And given the great lengths she took to share memories with her former students, I think she'd willingly accept and use them, just to continue to build and maintain those relationships, or at least to save herself 12 years of wait time. Look, students sharing of the learning journey is also important, and shining a light on what learning looks like today is something that we can do for our students and families, and our students can too. And Seesaw makes that super easy. As teachers, we can capture and share those everyday moments of camaraderie and teamwork and accomplishments, those things that go unmentioned at the dinner table. But in less than 10 seconds, we can provide our stakeholders with a glimpse into that learning. It's what Mrs. Schlicker was doing for me and my classmates in '87. Sometimes making connections with families can feel like an uphill climb, but if we leave those interactions only to times when we have concerns or conferences, we're going to lack a foundation upon which we can build. So many times the most important and impactful learning experiences are those that we have together, those times when we are so into what's going on that the time just flies by and we wish we had taken a moment to step back and appreciate what was really going on. As the learning leader in your room, you could pass the baton to your students when they work on their own and take a moment to capture what's going on, narrate it. Like Mrs. Schlicker, you can share the story of school from the point of learning, and it's never been more important. Showing others what's going on and what's possible, that's half of our theme today. Nurturing growth is the balance, and when we see our efforts come to fruition, that's where we can recognize that growth. Teaching is my passion, but getting better at it, that's my job. Now, that's not my quote, and the web's divided on who said it first, but it's a good one. Getting better at it consists of the opportunities that you seek or are presented with and how you respond to them. For example, like my fear at the beginning of this keynote and hearkening back to distance learning when the cameras are all off, right? Oh, they here. This is an opportunity for us to learn. Are you going to take it? How will you serve as a conduit when you have something to share? These opportunities strangely make me think about a teacher I had my senior year of high school. I don't know if this teacher is still alive, so out of respect to him, I'll refer to him as Mr. J. So Mr. J was a longtime high school social studies and history and economics teacher, and he was tall, he was bald, and he had this just commanding way that he spoke and walked and interacted with high schoolers. And it felt like his goal was to keep you on your toes and catch you off guard with every interaction. Sometimes it was fun, and other times it was just a lot of anxiety. His classroom was stark, a couple laminated posters, typical 90s fare on the wall, no student work, desks arranged in rows like a cemetery. It was a place that was easy to doze off. And he delivered his lessons via lecture and book reading with supporting worksheets. Awesome. Every couple of weeks, he would somehow triumphantly declare that it was time for another opportunity. And this seemed to be like the love of his life, you know? He would have been beaming with pride and excitement over these opportunities, and his entire demeanor would change, and suddenly, full of exuberance was Mr. J. See, opportunities for Mr. J were opportunities for grade enhancement. They're tests and quizzes. Without them, you see, there was precious little evidence that we were learning anything in his class. Opportunities were only given once. No retakes. Opportunities were drummed up for several days leading up. Opportunities were really stressful and consuming and anxiety-ridden, but they were, for him, a well-oiled machine that he cranked out, same content year after year without variance, powering through the requirements, the check boxes, without considerations to alternate ways to demonstrate understanding. It was about efficiency for him. So out pop Scantrons and multiple choice tests. The word opportunity has forever been changed for me, and I am not sure if teaching was Mr. J's passion, and I am quite certain that getting better at it was not his job, and he wasn't the least bit interested in that. Were there opportunities for him to improve? I'm sure that there was, but unlike Mrs. Schlicker, Mr. J didn't really stay current with teaching and learning, and certainly not best practices. And I can reflect back on that now as an educator and learn a whole lot about that. I didn't learn about social studies, history, and economics. I learned about teaching styles and being stuck in a rut and priorities. I learned who I wanted to be, and as it turns out, I was destined to be an educator too, just a profoundly different one. Growing's hard. And when you put your head down and close yourself off to the world around you, it's like a plant without life. You might have the nutrients, you might have the water, but without the light of passion, you can't possibly grow and get better. So I'll shift gears. A couple years later, 2 years actually, after graduating high school, I found myself sitting on a dirty linoleum floor of an old classroom in Montague Hall at the University of Minnesota, Duluth. It's the first day of class, as I recall, children's lit, all the tables, chairs pushed to the sides haphazardly, and there on the super dusty floor, we had 25 elementary education majors sitting in a big circle per the request of our instructor, Dr. Gene Stevenson. Dr. Jean is also a longtime educator, standing about 4'11", short salt and pepper hair, wire-rimmed oval glasses. But she walked around and talked to all of us, greeting us, waiting for everyone to arrive, with paperback picture books under her arm. Her light was brilliant. And within the first few minutes, she had captured our hearts and minds because she was personable, curious about us and understanding. And you could see no one in her class had sat on the ground in a long, long time, but she invited us to. And it was awesome. And it was just the beginning of the memories with Dr. Jean. You see, she plopped down with us on that dusty floor and read to us a picture book. And we were totally into it, and she was committed to the cadence and the speeds to grow suspense. She used voices for the characters, and it was amazing. It was inspiring. She knew her students, she shared her passions, and ignited our light, which we carried throughout the program and into classrooms across the country. Dr. Jean seized opportunities. She snatched them up for herself to grow, and then she shared them with other students to nurture the best from them. Dr. Jean was passionate about teaching and learning and getting better at it, which is the foundation for her content and knowledge. The nutrients were her strength, and she had just the right amount of push and patience, keeping us thirsty for more. It was like pedagogical water. She continues to inspire me and many others who have been lucky enough to grow from her brilliant light. She found a way to reach all of us. Now, I have shared 3 stories with you from my journey as a learner. Every story helped mold me into the person and educator that I am today. And certainly there are others, that I could have shared that had profound impacts on my life. I mean, both my parents were music educators. Okay, they showed me the value of following your passions and connecting with your learners. We're all filled with stories like this, stories that changed us, that influenced us, that transformed us. We are presented with opportunities to show and grow every day, but it's up to us to recognize them, reflect on them, and act accordingly. So today, y'all gonna have an opportunity to see some of the exceptionally talented and dedicated primary staff from Wilson County Schools share some of their big takeaways from our last 5 months together, exploring Seesaw. Tips, tricks, strategies, recommendations, data, and creativity. Taking a look at the presenters and the topics on the outline had me beaming with pride and confidence because I could see the light flowing out to others. I see that they're conduits for creating and showing others how to grow. Opportunities for everyone to up your skills if you're interested at getting better. I mean, that's our job after all. Whether teacher, student, player, parent, virtual keynote speaker, sharing a YouTube premiere for the very first time, our job is to get better, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'll leave you with this quote from 18th century French playwright Jean-Nicolas Bolle. I don't know if I said it right, but whatever one possesses becomes double in value when we have the opportunity to share it with others. So, thanks for following your passions here. Now let's get to work, bettering our professional practice.